Hello, hello. It's Bernadette. Welcome. All right. So, just got back from the hospital and I thought that I would share what's been going on and give you some warnings because had I not advocated for myself today, things would have gone very differently than they did. So, some of you know for the last, since the beginning of ending up in the ER on the 22nd, and having this mass in my abdomen, was having problems with kidney pain. Have never experienced that before, so of course didn't know what it was. And since then have had all kinds of problems with the kidneys and the pain and the whatever. Well, on the 22nd or 23rd, they put in a kidney stent and then did a bunch of tests, verified I have cancer, yada, yada, yada. You guys know that part. The last 2 weeks, I have been suffering from what they were treating as a UTI. And then there was a belief that perhaps I had hemorrhagic cystitis, like interstitial cystitis, which is so painful. And so they took me off of the antibiotics. But this week has been nothing but one thing after another, trying to address this pain. And it's not let up. And I literally feel like when I go to the bathroom afterwards for a minute, like I'm peeing razor blades in glass. It's so bad. It's so painful. And finally, today, after some other symptoms have appeared over the last couple of days, I hit my threshold of dealing with the way they've been treating me. And like my palliative care team's amazing. Don't get me wrong. They have advocated for me and they've been trying to help as much as they can. But I finally just let them all have it today because I'm like, I don't, you guys need to listen. So yesterday, I think I wrote like it's not a kidney stone. I'll explain in a minute. Yesterday, I explained that something was going on with my PICC line and they wanted me to go into radiology to have what's called radiology intervention, have an ultrasound done to check for blood clots and make sure the PICC line hadn't moved and whatnot. Well, I made it through the night, but I woke up in the middle of the night, like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and had more pain. Like this is where my PICC line was. Had more pain running under my arm, right? This is where like 12, 16 inches of line went in under my arm and then over the top of my heart. Well, yesterday it started hurting. Not a good sign. It's a sign of thrombosis, deep vein thrombosis, blood clots. So they had scheduled or put an order in, but no one called me. And by last night, they still hadn't called me. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, having a hard time breathing, having massive chest pains. So I'm looking up all of the worries about the PICC line. And sure enough, they're like, oh, that's sign of blood clot. So here I am. It's 3-4 o'clock in the morning. Nobody's awake in my house. I'm terrified to go back to sleep because you can die of a blood clot in your sleep and nobody would know. Like my family knew that I was having pain and stuff and that we were waiting for radiology. Why they put it off till today, I don't know. This should have been an emergency kind of a situation. You don't screw around with blood clots. Anybody knows that. You have an aneurysm, you're dead. Like you don't mess with it. So I stayed up until 8 o'clock this morning. My dad came in around 7:30 and asked what was going on. And I told him, and I just broke down into tears. I'm like, I am so terrified to go to sleep. Like I just want to call them and get on the books. I want them to tell me if I have a blood clot. And I was damn positive that I did. So I go they get me in at 10 a.m. and I get there into the radiology, and the guy who put my PICC line in was there. And so was the guy who did my echocardiogram in the hospital a week or two ago. And Josh, the guy who put the PICC line in, said, well, what's your symptoms? And I said, well, I have pain under my arm coming out from the PICC line because the PICC line ended right here, right? But under the arm. And that's where the PICC line leads all the way to your heart, right? Like it goes up here, goes into the neck, and then comes back down. And he said, it hurts. My neck doesn't hurt, but my chest hurts and it's tender here. And when I breathe, it hurts. He goes, well, I don't think those are all the same symptoms. I don't know that that's causing it. I said, what else do you have going on? And I said, well, there's something going on with my kidneys and urinary tract, and they don't know what's causing that. And he said, well, those are two separate issues. I said, I get it. He goes, but typically we don't see blood clots from someone whose PICC line goes in easy peasy. Your PICC line went in super fast, no complications. And they put the PICC line in with an ultrasound. Like they have to watch, because it's such a long wire, they have to watch that it's going through the vein, not getting hung up, and it's getting all the way to its proper sitting. So he said, your PICC line went in super easy. There was no complications. We don't ever see blood clots. Typically, what they said, well, okay, but here I am. Meanwhile, the other guy's doing the ultrasound, and he said, do you see the basilic vein? And he said, yeah. He said, you see right there. He's pushing with the ultrasound on my arm right here, and it hurts. I'm like, tears are coming out of my eyes. He said, I'm sorry. Just hang on just for a minute. Then they get done, and he said, go change, and I come out, and they both said, well, it's not typical. You have a blood clot, and it's sitting right above your lung. So that's why you're having a hard time breathing, and we need to pull the PICC line, but we have to have an order from the doctor. I said, I'll stay here. Y'all pull it. If it takes 2 minutes, pull it. I don't care what it takes. I do not want to go home and die. Right? Like there's all these stories about cancer isn't what kills people. It's the side effects from the other stuff that kills people. So we had to go run an errand to IKEA to pick up some stupid little things for my curtains in here. And by the time we'd gotten to IKEA, my doctor's office had called me back and said, we're trying to get you back in. We have sent the order over. They're going to pull the PICC line. It has to come out today. You need to go onto blood thinners and yada, yada. And I broke. I was like, what are you guys doing? You know, everyone made me feel like I was making stuff up. Like, why do I need to generate bullshit for myself? I don't want to go back to the ER. It's 45 minutes from my house. I don't want to be back in the hospital. Yeah, Cardomancy's saying I lost a brother that way. Blood clots are no joke. You don't mess with them. And when you have a PICC line or a port, that is one of the things you have to watch out for, that you're not shooting clots, because it will kill you. Anyways, long story short, they got me back in, but when I went off in IKEA parking lot on my poor palliative care girl, you know, her and the doctor were on the phone with me, and they said, we're going to get this handled. You've got two separate issues. The PICC line's one. We're going to take care of that. That has to come out today. And I had an appointment with one of my clients. I had to reschedule. They're like, look, your health has to come first. You may not be around if we don't get rid of this clot. Fine. I'll cancel with him. I said, but here's the deal. I'm going to quit chemo if you guys don't preserve the rest of my body. Like if they missed the Mesna and didn't give it to me, and now my bladder is permanently damaged, which surely feels like it is. It's been a week of peeing glass and razor blades. And I said, I don't think that that's it, but let me call the oncologist. So they called me back after talking to the oncologist. She said, we didn't give her the Mesna because she's not on the dose of chemotherapy that we would typically see hemorrhagic cystitis. So we didn't give it to her, and it doesn't warrant it. Even looking at her records right now, we don't think that that's what's happening. And obviously she cultured out negative. It's not a UTI. Call me back again. And my palliative doctor said, you know, I used to be a transplant urologist way back in the day. We had this one case where someone connected the stent, put the stent in the wrong place, and it created pain after you urinate for the woman that had it going on. Same symptoms as you. Is it more painful after you go to the bathroom? I said, yeah, actually, the longer I hold it, the less painful it is. But after, for a minute afterwards, it's excruciating, horrific pain. And he said, yeah, that's the stent. That isn't. He said, the stent, he said, the chemotherapy has already started working. It has shrunk the tumor so you don't have the obstruction in the kidney anymore. We can pull the stent, but the stent is aggravating the bladder and actually irritating it. That's what caused all the bleeding. That's what's causing all the pain. That's why you've got all of this, whatever. So we need to pull the stent. They try to get a hold of the urologist, and he's telling them, we'll have her come in at 9 a.m. And then I lost it. I said, no, I'm not waiting till 9 a.m. tomorrow. Like, my back hurts. My stomach hurts. I can barely function right now. You guys cannot expect me to make it through another night. I've been dealing with this now for almost 2 solid weeks. Like, stop it. They said, well, you try to call him because he's telling us 9. So I got his secretary on the phone, and I just said, I'm going to go camp out there when I get my IV PICC line pulled. I said, but you cannot expect me to wait. He said, if he's not going to pull it in his office, I will go to the ER and another urologist can pull it. I understand there has to be a scope. He told me it takes 2 minutes to pull, which it did. You're not going to make me wait. I don't care if he's on call in the ER today. Then he can be the one that pulls it in the ER. She's like, well, he's only on call till 1. Fine, do it at 1:30. Guess what? They did it at 1:30. Then I get into his office, and before he pulls it, he said, I don't think it's shrunk enough. We're just going to be right back here putting another stent in next week. I said, I know that it has, Dr. White, and here's how I know. 3 weeks ago, I could only eat 1 to 2 tablespoons of food per day for the entire day. There was no room in my stomach because the mass was so huge. And I get that you don't think after 1 chemo round that it would shrink as much as it has, but I can eat three times in a day, more than 2 tablespoons per sitting. I know that it's shrunk. And you're not a chemo doctor, you're not a cancer doctor. And the cancer doctor had said that lymphoma, while it is super aggressive and grows very aggressively, it responds and reacts very well and very quickly to this dose of chemotherapy, this regimen of chemotherapy. So they believed that if they pulled the stent, it's going to clear up a lot of these issues. So in fact, I went in after I had my PICC line removed. I went over to his office 10 minutes from the hospital, and they pulled the stent, which was, oh my God, painful. But some of my pains receding. It's not all gone. My back pain is still really weirdly bad. Like, the whole entire girdle around my waist is super inflamed. It was going down my legs. And I mean, couldn't tell if that was the blood clot or that's what's going on with the stent. And I mean, he was just like, I don't know if we should pull it. I'm like, pull it. I am here to tell you, pull it. My oncologist and my palliative doctor are 100% convinced that if you pull this, it's going to resolve all the issues I've been in and out of the ER for two weeks with. Pull it. If we have to put it back in a week, fine. But please relieve this. And he's not going to relieve overnight. I said, it'll be better than it's been. He said, well, likely. But if you still have an obstruction from the tumor, I said, just pull the damn thing. Okay, it's going to hurt. So he pulled it. I walked out. I got in my car with my dad. And halfway home, my body finally started to relax. Like, it wasn't on guard anymore. I've been home for about an hour. And things are finally calming down. But it literally took me saying to my palliative care team, if you guys don't figure this crap out right now and stop hurting me farther, and you don't preserve my quality of life, and I have to be peeing glass and razor blades at 57 years old for the rest of my life, and wear diapers for the rest of my life because I have no control over what's going on in my bladder, I'm stopping chemo. I didn't have any of these problems before. She said, you can't stop chemo. I said, watch me. You are not going to fix one problem only to create 10 other problems for me. I would rather not deal with it. Chemo's bad enough. Cancer's bad enough. I'm like, nobody's taking me serious. And I mean, I was bawling. I'm like, you guys aren't listening. For a week, for 2 weeks, I have said the same things over and over again, and everyone's acting like I must be making it up. But as soon as the freaking ultrasound that is not typical, we don't see it, I'm not typical. If you even knew a quarter of my story, you would think I was an alien. So stop acting like I'm supposed to line up to every other case you've had. Stop it. Because while I'm not typical, either are the things that are happening within my body. And I've proven to you now enough times when I say, I think I have a blood clot. I think I have this, and you act like I must be freaking hypersensitive and a hypochondriac. I hate doctors. I have lived my life doing it natural. The last place I want to be is the doctors of the hospital. Like, but if you guys are going to keep acting like I'm making this shit up, I'm not doing chemo anymore. Like, keep me out of pain. I'll keep myself out of pain. I'm not going to do this. And that's when they finally got my oncologist on the phone and everyone got on the same page. They're putting in a port. They're not going to try and replace it with another PICC line because that was the thought. We'll just put a PICC line in the other arm. And the radiologist is like, and in 10 days, that one's going to blow too. And you're going to have more problems. He's like, we'll put in the port. Well, when I went to go get the PICC line pulled, I asked the nurse, I said, why did they decide to put a PICC line and not a port? Which ports are standard? And she said, well, from what I hear, you denied it. I never denied it. What are you talking about? You have a piece of paper that I signed that said that I denied it? I was inpatient at the time, right? I'm like, I didn't deny the port. 1 minute I was told I was getting a port. The next minute someone's in my room doing ultrasound and installing a PICC. I didn't say no to any one of them. Nobody told me who made that decision either, but I did not deny it. And if I did deny it, I want to see the paperwork because I would have had to have signed against medical advice. So then I sent that information off to my palliative team and I said, they said I denied it. She said, that's not true. I said, exactly. So why are we all of a sudden at your hospital trying to put the blame back on me when in fact, I'm the one that's been telling you guys every day for weeks what is going on with me and no one's taking me seriously and making me feel like I'm a hypochondriac when in fact, everything I have said with your little tests have proven out. I said I had a clot. Lo and behold, I have a freaking clot. Now you're rushing me back to pull the PICC line so that I don't die. You wonder why I'm flipping upset? I couldn't sleep this morning. I was terrified of going to sleep and not waking back up. Terrified. When you know that you have a blood clot and you're not sure what's going to happen, you can't sleep, right? I got up, I was cleaning, I made coffee. I'm like pacing around. The dogs are sticking close to me this morning. When my dad finally woke up, he was like, what is going on? Why didn't you wake me up? And I'm like, in tears. Dad, I don't want to die like this. I do not want to die like this. He said, you have to tell them. So if I had not put my foot down today, things would have been very different. They would have waited for me to pull that stent till tomorrow. Not going to wait. And yes, Petra, exactly. Take charge of your own health. They are working for us. And sometimes I think doctors think they're gods and that they know everything. You went to school for medicine for what, 4 years, 6 years, tops? You memorized a bunch of information in a book and you passed an exam. That does not make you a god. I know my body damn freaking good. I know when something's not right. I know when it's off, and I usually know why it's off. And so when they've just been like, UTI, give her some more antibiotics, I'm like, I don't think that's what's happening. You know, and then of course the urologist wants to save face, and he's like, I don't think we should pull it because I think you're going to be back here in a week. Well, you don't get to make that choice, dude. Here I am. Pull the damn thing. If I have to come back in a week and I'm wrong, then you're putting in a new PICC or a new stent. Either way, you're making your money. Do your job. Pull the stent. Because my other doctors, both cancer doctors, seem to think this is going to resolve it. Let's give it a try. It's the one thing we haven't done yet. And I've had all these problems since that stent went in. And he's the one, because first I said no to the stent. And he said, if you don't get it put in, your kidneys could fail before going through chemo, and then we can't even do chemo. You need to put it in. So I let them put it in when I was in the hospital back on the 22nd of April. But he, for some reason, wanted me to keep that damn stent. And it's like, I'm not keeping it. You got to put it back in, put it back in. I don't care. But I've been here every freaking other day in the ER getting new antibiotics. And I've bought so much medication that you guys have put me on for a day or two and taken me off of. And I don't have insurance. I'm paying cash out of pocket for this crap. Like, for your mistakes, I'm paying for your mistakes financially and within my body. And I'm not okay with that. And if this keeps up, I'm done. I'm done. I will stop doing chemo and I will go another route. Like, this is BS. And they finally listened. So I am just here to share all of that with you for a number of reasons. A, don't think that you don't know your body. We are in our own skin, right? I mean, look, if you're always thinking you have something and you're Google MDing it and it turns out you got nothing, that's one thing. But I know my body. I hate going to the hospital. I don't like being on medicine. I don't like doctors, right? Not my thing. Never has been, never will be. I'm only taking this route to save and preserve my life because it is the only way right now with the chemo for the lymphoma, and it's that bad, stage 4. But I wish to God they would stop, because what would happen if I was an older person and couldn't vocalize, couldn't verbalize, couldn't tell them what was bothering, or a child who can't tell them that I have chest pain. I have pain under my arm. Like, why suddenly did I wake up in the morning and exactly where that line is running does it hurt? Well, you shouldn't have a clot. That's not typical. Screw you. I don't care if it's typical or not. It's happening, and I'm not making it up. I have no reason to make this crap up. The God complex with doctors is real. Yeah. So, firm reminder for all of you, I don't care how bad your health condition is, no doctor knows everything. And when you've got a team of several different doctors that are not communicating, it's not helpful. Like, seriously, not helpful. I have had 4 CAT scans now. I've had 4 ultrasounds. I've had, how many? I'm getting a PET scan. I'm trying to think of all. I've had so many procedures over this whole UTI. It's not a freaking UTI. The stent has been doing damage to my kidneys and my bladder. And oh well, right? And that's what I said to the doctor. I'm like, you continue to damage my kidneys with this stuff, I'm coming after you. Pull the stent. I was just done. I'm done being nice, and I'm done not being bitchy. Like, y'all keep acting like I'm fucking crazy, except that, oh, lo and behold, she's not crazy. Everything she said, she has proven out in our little tests. So there comes a point in time when you have to stop giving them all of the power and take it back. And the minute I said I was not going to treat anymore, I'm quitting chemo, is the minute they started to listen. But not before. I spent hours this morning in tears, crying, telling my dad, like, why won't they listen? Why is everybody acting like I'm crazy? I'm not crazy. I have no reason to concoct new symptoms. Like, it's insane. I have to pay for this crap out of pocket. Why would I make this stuff up? It's so stupid. Yeah, literally had to threaten them with a lawsuit or to quit treatment. I mean, it's stupid. It's the one thing I regret the most with the cancer journey, not knowing how to advocate for myself. And that's the one thing I hope comes out of me sharing this journey with all of you guys live, is how to advocate for yourself. You shouldn't have to. No one should. We already feel like crap when we have cancer. Already feel like crap. And everybody wants to tell you what you should be taking with supplements and do this and do that. And you already feel like crap. You already have asked the question, why me? Millions of times. You've already asked God, why won't you just take me out? I don't want to feel this. So when you've got people that aren't listening to you about the pain you're in, the discomfort you're in, the symptoms that you're enduring, it just makes it that much worse, right? And you shouldn't have to feel like that. You should feel like you're being listened to. When I work with someone with biomagnetism therapy, when I'm working with them with coaching, when I'm doing any number of things, right? Hold on, I got to put my I'm on air sign on. I make damn sure I listen. I do. Because the one thing I think the healthcare system fails at, and fails in a big, big way, is listening. And if you don't listen to your patients, you are going off of book stuff. You are assuming that everything that was written in your textbook was all there is. The human body is complex. And when you have different conditions operating and different symptoms coming into play, you have to listen to the patient. You can't just ignore them. Cuss like a sailor. I'm sorry, just getting on. I know you know best about your body. Exactly. I listen to my body. I'm very well aware. I know when my blood pressure's high. I know when my blood pressure's low. I know when my blood sugar's high and low. I don't have to test it, but when I do, it always confirms it. Doctors should listen. It's your body. You know how you feel. How many of you have walked out of your doctor's office or you had to go through some serious health issues like cancer, surgery, and you don't feel like you were listened to? You're just thrown into, here's our protocol. This is what we're going to do. And none of your questions get answered. And then when something goes wrong, they're like, you denied it. Where's the sheet that I signed that says I denied a port? I nowhere ever. And the nurse, I said, did I? She said, well, they shouldn't have even talked to you about it if you were on drugs. I said, I was on morphine, Dilaudid, like high doses of methadone and morphine the entire time, because they were doing one procedure after another while I was in there getting me ready for chemo, literally, and still trying to figure out what was causing all of my pain from the bladder. I was on drugs. She goes, well, they shouldn't have talked to you. They should have talked to your family. Well, they didn't. And guess what? I also didn't deny it. So don't try and put that off on me. Isn't it convenient? All of a sudden, Bernadette denied the port and went for the picc. I'm not like, I don't know what the difference. I asked what the difference was, but I didn't have a choice. Nobody offered me a choice. Stupid. Usually don't go to the doctors, but I had to go. I have to go, and they do not listen. Usually they get you in and out like you're a machine. Right. Exactly. They start cussing the second they don't listen. And, at this point, like, I am seriously I'm not putting up with it. I have an appointment with my oncologist, and I'm telling her the same thing tomorrow. If you guys are not going to let me advocate for myself, and you're not going to listen to what I'm telling you, because I do know my body, and I'm very good at expressing myself, and I understand the body, the anatomy, health conditions. Yes, I'm a natural practitioner. However, I do know. But if you're not going to let me advocate, I'm done. I will find another oncologist. I have one that's complimentary, and we're just done. And if you don't care, I don't care. But you are not going to ruin my quality of life just to stick to your damn standard operating procedure. I'm done. I'm pissed, and I'm not willing to let my quality of life go down because this is the way that it's done. And it's not typical that you should have nothing's typical. Nothing's typical. You can't compare one body to another body when you've got massive differences going on. And it's so funny. I was reading in one of my reports today from the ER. They have like the psych profile, able to speak fluently. And then it said, attitude, cooperative. See, so I am cooperative. Can't even call me uncooperative. I yell. I don't like being nasty. It's the only way they will listen to me. I don't even like crying, but I've been in so much pain today. I couldn't stop crying. I was that scared. I literally was that scared that if they did not pull the PICC line and address this, I was going to die from the blood clot. Like the pain. And this was since yesterday. I woke up yesterday morning. They should have pulled it. It should have become urgent yesterday, not today. Suddenly today, they're like, oh, we need to pull it after the radiology report. You should have done it yesterday. You shouldn't have waited 24 freaking hours. Just stupid. They do not know any side effects or reactions that may arise. No, they don't, because everybody's body's different, and they don't know allergies, and they don't know other drug interactions, and they have me on so many pills. Like, it's stupid. So I am okay. Hi, Miss Deborah. And I'm only okay because I am taking care of myself, and I'm pushing them. I'm not going to wait till 9 a.m. You're going to take it out now. And I almost said to him, you really wanted me to wait till 9 a.m.? If you felt like someone was shoving a razor blade into the tip of your penis, would you wait until 9 a.m. tomorrow while you're bleeding? I don't think so. Don't expect me to. God, do your job. God. And it took a total of 2 minutes to pull the stent. What was the big deal? Like, I don't understand. We have to use a scope, a camera to put water in, to find the tube, the stent, and pull it out. Okay, well, do what you got to do. You put me to sleep when you put it in. If it only takes 2 minutes, really should not take that much time out of your day. And you have no appointments this afternoon? Oh, that means your schedule's open. Pull the stent. So I did force their hand on that one. And yeah, now maybe my palliative care team can get a break from me, but I have felt like a whiner because nothing has been resolving. Nothing has resolved. Seriously, nothing. And so when you're constantly calling and texting every day and going, here's my new symptoms, and nothing's getting fixed, things are only getting worse, you feel like something's wrong with you. But, now they're like, well, you're going to have to take the blood thinners. And I'm like, I can't take them up. I can only take them until Monday, because if you're putting a port in, that's a surgical procedure on Wednesday. I can't be on blood thinners. I'll bleed out. Well, that's true. Yeah. How do I know this stuff? But you guys aren't bringing it to me. I'm telling you, you want me on blood thinners, but you're also going to put a port in on Wednesday because I have chemo the following Wednesday? Like, something's not adding up. Well, at least start them. Fine. Whatever. I can take DMSO. It'll do the same damn thing as far as thinning my blood and getting rid of the clot. Do not like to say it's a gender thing often. Women are not taken seriously and told crazy. It's not just women, because they treat my dad like that too. Seriously. Should I start a Zoom class and cussing out doctors? There's a certain level of respect that I will always hold for doctors. But they do need to be reminded of who works for who. Like, I am not here for you. You are here for me. You only have an income and live in a nice house and drive a nice car because of your patients, right? I don't work for you. So no, you don't get to tell me how it's going to be. This is my body. And the minute it goes wrong is the minute you're like, oh, I'm not responsible. How convenient. You denied it. No, I did not. How convenient to pass the buck whenever it's convenient for you. Right? God, make them do their job. So study up, people, and I'm not telling you to be all paranoid and go on WebMD and Google and all those things that make yourself crazy, but I am telling you, educate yourself. I've studied enough about lymphoma and chemo and everything else. My dad had cancer. I've talked to enough people that have been through the actual journey, not just reading about it, actually talk to people who've been through it and ask the highs and the lows, the regrets, the wish I didn't, wish I did. What are the things that, you wish you knew? And no one I've talked to yet has been through the kidney stuff like I've been, but nobody had their kidneys obstructed because it's such a large tumor, but you have to be willing to just push and stand up for yourself. And that's true anywhere in life, but especially when you're talking about your body. Permanent long-term damage to me is not curing my cancer in a way that's like preserving my life. You don't get to screw up every other part of my body just to get rid of the cancer with your chemo drugs that you get a kickback on. And if you don't believe me, go look it up. Every doctor, the one drug that they can receive kickbacks from, chemotherapy. And I'm well aware of it. And it is what I need right now. But I also know how badly these oncologists actually want to make sure you finish those chemo treatments, because that is where their money is. So as far as the urologist, he's just got a God complex. He literally has, who's that? Dr. House. He looks like Dr. House. He's a decent looking man, but he's just got this God complex attitude that he knows everything. It's like, you've met me for all of maybe 15 minutes while I've been awake over the course of the last 3 weeks does not make you an expert in my body. Just doesn't. And I'm not giving you that power and authority. And that is the attitude you must take no matter what. My dad's done the same thing since he's been living with me with his medications too, is just do not listen to everything they say. He was put on one drug one time not long ago, ended up in the ER, and the ER doctor said, your primary should have known better than to put you on this drug. You can't be on this drug if you have AFib. He's like, what? Your primary should have known better. But guess what? They don't always know better. You would think, we all think, oh, they should know better. But they're human. They're not infallible. They make mistakes. And we have to be willing to hold them and their feet to the fire. Hi, Miss Judas. Deep dive, you rock. I just choose to be Leanne. I choose to be responsible for my life and my health. I don't want to have to blame anybody, but if I don't speak up for myself, who do I have to blame but me? Nobody. So that is where I'm at. And I'm hopeful, very, very hopeful that by this time tomorrow, although I'll be at the oncologist, by this time tomorrow, the stress of worrying about dying from a blood clot will be gone. I mean, I will take care of the blood thinning tonight and all of that. And my veins will have a good solid 5 days of healing before they stick a port in my chest and into my neck. And I just hope that I can get through this weekend without any more trips to the freaking ER and any more need for useless antibiotics that I've spent a ton of money on that are no good. They're letting me take my dad had a prescription for Eliquis because he's on blood thinners. He has AFib. But they changed his dosage. So the dosage they wanted me on, he has unopened bottles. And they said, take his because those bottles are $500. I'm like, what? $500? Yeah. So they said, you can take his. It's the right milligrams. It's the right brand. Take his. So I'm like, all right. Because, yeah, I'm paying $500 for blood thinners when I'm only able to use them for 3 days. Like, what? That's a whole other broadcast of how ridiculous our freaking pharmaceutical companies are. If it's life-saving, they decide they're going to profit through the nose. But main takeaways for today is y'all need to be your best advocate. Know your body, know what's right for your body, know what's wrong for your body, know what's normal for you, not typical for somebody else. And keep records. This is seriously, keep a record, knock them off of a bill. But you should keep records. I record my medications, what time I take them, my blood pressure, my oxygen sat rates. I record everything, my temperature, because right now it's subnormal. But then when it goes up, so if I have a subnormal temperature, the 99.9 for me is where 101 would be for everybody else. But I'm sitting at 96, 97 as my normal baseline temperature right now since I have cancer. But even those things you need to know, what are your baselines? Because then when things go out of the baseline, you know what to tell your doctor. And the more informed you are, the better you can advocate for yourself. There's a patent for cancer. It's found in the Freedom of Information Act. Yeah, that's a whole other place I don't want to go today. Newborn colt. Had to go to the vet clinic, $6,800 later. Plasma bag was $500. Did it because I had to. It sort of felt like they did all that to run up a bill. And it sucks. It sucks, right? It sucks. Our doctor said we could order prescriptions from Canada. Same exact drugs, just the charge more in America. And here's the thing. I have some medications that I have purchased from a pharmacy in India for 1/10 of the cost of what they cost here in America. It's a game. It's a freaking game. Just saying. So there are ways for you to treat yourselves too. You don't have to go the normal routes. In this case, like I had said the other day, my back's against the wall. And this is a very aggressive cancer. So we're going after it. But from here on out, once it's gone, I'm going to be doing the complimentary stuff and staying on top of it from here on out. And I will help as many people as I can, to make better decisions for themselves. Because I was talking to one of my Hidden Wisdom members last night who's getting chemo for lupus. And I'm like, what? That's the wrong direction. Why are they lowering your immune system for lupus? Like so I was like, finish your round of chemo and then we'll talk when your brain's straight. But you have other options. It does not make sense to me. And I've helped someone with lupus, long distance, 3 sessions with Biomag. So like, it just does not make sense to me. It's crazy. Yeah, for lupus. Isn't that insane? Like, you're going to damage someone's immune system. It's already damaged. Like, you're not going after the right pathogens. You think my hair looks cute? I haven't even taken a shower today. I've been up since 4 o'clock. So I refuse chemo with multiple sclerosis. And MS is Epstein-Barr. So never heard of that. Well, and it took them over a year, Amy, to make that decision. So to me, they're playing science kit. They're just testing something on someone who's willing, who's listening, not questioning, and willing. And that's what I said to her, like, I'm going to give you some options. You talk to your husband and you guys decide. I don't care if you come work with me. I got my own stuff going on right now. But if you do decide that you don't want to do chemo and you do actually want to get well and handle this once and for all, let me know. And you'll at least have a lineup of options. Only one of those options is to work with me. The other couple of options are going to be different modalities that you can use. But chemo lowers your immune system and tanks it. Lupus, you don't, and they're like, well, you also have rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, why are you putting chemo in someone to treat rheumatoid arthritis, which is an inflammation? None of it makes sense. So she didn't question it. Hopefully after last night's class in Hidden Wisdom, the coaching, she is going to question it, and for right now, I mean, she's just going to do it. I'm not here to tell people don't listen to your medical advice. What I am here to do is say, there are always options. Check all of your options. Like, I'm not just going chemo. I'm going complementary medicine and oncology as well. I'm also doing other things, not just relying on the chemo magic pill. There is no magic pill. There is no one and done. There is no cure-all. You have to do what your body needs. For those people that are like, well, how'd you end up with cancer anyways? Here's the damn reality of it. I lived in Colorado for 17 years on a farm. On that farm, we used Roundup, weed killer, because it was the one thing that worked on the steroid weeds. And we had gardens and we had all kinds of stuff going on that we had to keep those things knocked down on the 2.5 acres. What do you think caused my lymphoma? Roundup. So when people are sitting there, well, it must be your diet. It's environment. And they knew. So that's a whole other topic. But there's been some texts and messages I've received that are like guilting me for having cancer. I'm like, I'm not taking that. You want to shoot those arrows, keep shooting them, honey, but I am not going to own that stuff. I know exactly where this came from. And it's been going on for a long time. And it didn't show up until after I left the farm. Like, that's when I started having problems, but I had problems on the farm, right? And then when I healed from that first round, we moved and things have just kind of gone on from there. But this is how people show up or end up on 15 meds at a time. Seriously. Yeah. It's crazy. Roundup's banned in California. Can't believe that. They're still selling it in a lot of states. I did hear from my cousin, Amy, that they aren't selling it in Los Angeles, but they sell it everywhere else. Anywhere they can sell it. It's a watered down version, supposedly. It's still toxic and will give you cancer and kill you. Like, the fact that it's still on the market is beyond me. And then Bayer bought Roundup from Monsanto. Where's the conflict of interest there? Bayer aspirin, Bayer Pharmaceutical from Monsanto Chemicals? Like, isn't there a little bit of like a weird disconnect there? Wouldn't you think? Why is a pharmaceutical company owning a fertilizer company, chemical company? Like, yeah, strange. And we used it in Colorado. I mean, we used it way back for 17 years. Lawsuits are going on with Roundup. Yes, I know. Well aware. Very well aware. And they will continue to They have been with class action suits. They've been told to set aside an exorbitant amount of money for future claims and lawsuits because it is expected to keep coming down the pike. It's just the way it goes. But the whole thing about guilting someone when they're sick and you think you know what caused it, like someone texted me, you've got an emotional disconnect, an emotional blockage in your body that caused the cancer. And I'm like, you're sure of that? Do you know what I do for work? Do you know how much emotional work I have done through the years? Like, don't sit here and try and diagnose me. I did not ask for your advice. It's just beyond me. It is everywhere. Glyphosate. It's everywhere. Gets in the rainwater, it gets in the aqueducts, it gets everywhere. And it's coming from the farms in Arizona. It gets on your vegetables. It gets everywhere in the water supply and the food supply. I refused a liver biopsy from a specialist. He's disgusted with me. I would not be here today because it turns out developed an autoimmune condition, which made my body turn against itself. Yeah. Your body's not turning against itself when it has autoimmune. That is how they explain it. Your body's actually just not sure how to fight it. And some of these autoimmune pathogens actually turn the body's ability to recognize it as a pathogen off. So it actually goes and attacks the tissue where the immune deficiency is, but it doesn't even know what it's fighting because, like Epstein-Barr, it just turns it off. Your body can't recognize the pathogen. And that happens more than you realize. That's BS. Whoever said that I would block. I'm not. You know how many people I'd have to block at this point? I'm not blocking them. I'm just ignoring them. And yes, I do have enough to deal with. It's kind of like the people that were posting, take Demonos. It's like, you guys don't understand. Take Demonos, drink extra water. It's like, this isn't like a normal thing. I have cancer. Like, there's a lot of things that have happened. It's if I thought that Demonos was going to help, I would have taken it. I am taking the honey, Manuka honey, the high grade Manuka honey, because I have had a ton of bacteria and they keep exposing me to different things. So rude people are rude. Not the time to be telling you that it's something you did. Clearly not. And nobody is asking to get ill. And you're right. My advice to everybody, stop trying to save other people. If I don't know you, if you don't know me, you're not personally in my life, you're just a Facebook warrior. Like, don't be coming knocking on my door. That's no different than the Jehovah's Witnesses or the Mormons that try to save me in my own house. Like, didn't ask for it. Surgeons don't listen to me and my symptoms. They want to be radical and remove all my intestines except for 12 inches, have a colostomy bag the rest of your life, saying it's all MS, then say that I'm being non-compliant by doing it. Yeah, well, non-compliant when it's insanity. I wouldn't either. I literally wouldn't do it. That's one of the things I told them. If you are going to recommend surgery to remove my colon, we're done. I'm not going to have a colostomy bag. I'm not going to live like that because I don't think it's necessary. But again, MS, if you look up Deborah Lyman, MS, Epstein-Barr virus, there's a whole, look up on PubMed, there's a bunch of studies, not all in the US, a lot of outside of the US, that have linked Epstein-Barr, which is responsible for a ton of the autoimmune disorders, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, MS, right? Not that it's the only pathogen, but when it dances with other pathogens, Epstein-Barr wreaks havoc on the system, very responsible for MS. Go after Epstein-Barr and whatever other pathogen it's dancing with. You don't need to do all the other stuff. Not normal. I take Demonos and still get UTIs. Yeah, no. Cranberry juice is cranberry juice. Manuka honey, I got the Manuka, it's in the house. I'll have to take a picture of it, but I got the Manuka honey that's high grade. I mean, it's like $190 a bottle. It's expensive, but this stuff is medical grade and will knock all kinds of stuff out. So it's very, very good. And they sell it on Amazon. And I think it's New Zealand Honey Co., something like that. You keep picturing the Beatles. The loving on the blue meanies. In my prayers to you. Ah, cool. Lime too. Ticks are bad this year. Yeah, Morgellon and limes. You guys have to understand that can mix with Epstein-Barr too. There's never just one pathogen. And that's the one thing I want people to understand with chronic illness. It's not ever just one pathogen. It's one pathogen dancing with other pathogens or parasites, fungus, right? Fungus, parasites, viruses, bacteria. And then if they've created a biofilm, you have to break through the biofilm to be able to kill them. And the hard part is breaking through the biofilm. But once you do it, now you have a chance at killing those viruses. And it takes multimodalities to get to cleaning that stuff up, which is why I use Rife. I use biomagnetism therapy. I use all kinds of stuff and supplements, right? Lifestyle changes. I'll share with you guys later in the week. Jarrett came to do my dog's nails this week. Jarrett, the guy who I posted his video and I helped him with biomagnetism, 2 or 3 sessions after 10 years of suffering, 112 hospital stays, multiple surgeries, down to 124 pounds. He showed up at my house yesterday. Jarrett weighs 185 pounds. He weighs more than he did when he played professional hockey. His goal, he's all muscled out. His goal is to weigh over 200 because it's what feels good. No more pain in his stomach, right? I had told him, you have a gluten intolerance, stay away from dairy, and for right now, pull out meat. So he went and had a food sensitivity test. This is without anything other than Bernadette doing her normal scans and checking intuitively. And lo and behold, what did the food sensitivity test show? He's allergic to turkey, he's got gluten intolerance, and he's lactose intolerance. All the things that he was eating before for those 10 years that they had him on methadone for. And he was wasting away and he wasn't eating. And now he eats like 5 times a day. Biomagnetism got rid of all of the pain, all of the neuropathy, all of that. We stripped his diet. We started over. We went clean and he started gaining weight on a whole food diet and then started adding things in past that. And it's amazing, the transformation in him. Amazing. And he didn't think he'd ever be well enough just to make it through a day without collapsing. And now he ran a marathon in California a few weeks ago. Like, it's insane. And that was with 3 biomag sessions and consulting with me with his lifestyle changes and diet. That's it. That's all it took. And we resolved issues the doctors couldn't figure out. Got rid of the pathogens. That is what I have issues with, his bacteria. We'll check it out. Yeah. And I'm sorry right now, like I do have someone I can refer to for biomagnetism therapy. And we have agreed to tag team, like I can help with the scans and then she can do with the placements. So it's not that I can't do those. I've just needed to stabilize my health. And so far up until today, it hadn't stabilized. I have a feeling after today, past this weekend, my health now will stabilize. And it's just a matter of getting my schedule on track with the off days from chemo. And then I'll be able to live fairly decent, normal life. And go back to helping other people with biomag and my machines and everything else. So research cytomegalovirus, asked my doctor to test me, it came back positive. Cytomegalovirus is usually dancing with Epstein-Barr as well. Cytomegalovirus on its own won't typically do the kind of damage with like MS. Cytomegalovirus, I always find with people with Epstein-Barr. Goes hand in hand. And sometimes you'll find cytomegalovirus with someone who's had a really bad case of strep or shingles, right? You'll see CMV. So something to keep in mind. Again, I know it's out of pocket, but you're also not getting side effects. And that's the one thing why I've always had no problem doing natural medicine, investing my money in that direction or my training in that direction and going to practitioners in that direction, because the side effects are nil. You're not creating more damage. And that's the important part to me. How does Manuka honey help? Go research it. I'm not going to do a whole thing on that. It's already been almost an hour. I need to get off of here. I have a class tonight. I need to make a phone call and I need to get some water in me. Spent the day back and forth at the hospital today. Google Manuka honey. Go Google it. Inform yourself. Y'all do the research. You don't need me to do it for you. If you want me to do it for you, it's going to cost you $350 an hour to have a private consultation with me. That's the way that goes. Sorry. I've got to take care of life. And this is my business. So yeah, you can go do the research on your own though. Google is your friend. YouTube, Google. Yeah. Oh my God. What's oh my God? What? What, Leanne? What is, oh my God. Thank you, Deborah. All right. Um, I'm not trying to be rude either, y'all. Like, you guys, you should know too. Like, I've warned everybody in the last few weeks, like, I have limited amount of energy. All of my energy is going to save my own life right now, preserve my life, and make sure that I am alive. I have thousands of people. I have already helped over 50,000 people in the last 25 years, and I plan on helping a hell of a lot more than that in the next 25 years. But right now, this is my year to heal. Like, I have to take care of me. I've always put everybody else first. Now I have to take care of me, and I'm doing it for my family, and I'm doing it for me, and I'm doing it for the countless numbers of people that are going to need my help and already need my help. But it's not going to matter if I'm not here. So, while I'm not trying to poo-poo or push off anybody, you guys have to understand, if you're in my boat, you'd be right where I am. I am publicly sharing this journey to help inform and educate everybody, have you look at your own health in a different way, have you process things in a different way so that you don't have to go through the things that other people have had to go through, or you aren't going through things you don't want to go through. Advocate for yourself, empower yourself. All right. And do it in a holistic way. Mind, body, spirit, all encompassing. I love you. Have a wonderful evening. I'll see you guys later.